Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Ed. How you doing there, buddy?
My eyes open.
Eyes are open.
Test 1, 2. Check, check, checkity, check, check.
Ah,
Episode 19.
we're age of majority in Ontario. 19.
You know, man, that's crazy, hey? That's a lot of people.
I like it.
A lot of cool stories. And we heard a lot of very interesting stories and situations from a lot of cool people.
Yeah, it's we know so many of them are the same thing going on with COVID, and they're in the entertainment industry. Most of them actually in the industry, yet they all have a different perspective that comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the same. They all lost work, but everyone's trying something different, trying to stuff.
It's funny every time that you ask them that question, and then it starts out as like, oh, the same as everybody else, and then it gets into more of a personal,
Exactly.
approach to it or perspective, right? Who do we got, Frank? Go.
We got Luke Bentham. He's a Dundas native, Dundas, Ontario native. I've known him for a number of years. He's from Dundas, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, together with Kyle Fisher, he formed the band The Dirty Nil in 2006. Since then, that band has won a JUNO, toured the world, and released several albums on Dine Alone Records.
Wicked.
And they have another one that's going to be released New Year's Day. It's entitled Fuck Art.
Awesome.
So yes, he's a punk rocker, guitar player, likes loud music, likes screaming a lot, and what can I say?
This will be fun.
Yeah,
This will be fun.
So,
Let's bring him in.
let's bring him in and see what he's got to say.
So please, drum roll. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dude,
How's it going?
you good?
Hey, he's in. He's not sideways.
I'm
you hear?
in.
How's it going, Luke?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good,
Yeah.
man.
You have
Thanks
you
for joining
never
us.
you've never met Ed, right? Luke and I know each
I
other.
don't think we
but
have.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think
We
so.
met in person. I don't think so. No.
No,
He
no.
did. He drummed on a bunch of songs on my record, and he was at the CD release. I can't remember if you were there or not. But anyways, Ed
Oh, right
Mortensen,
on.
Luke Bentham.
Yeah, man.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you. I love that shirt. What do we got going on here?
That's a St. Pauli shirt.
Nice.
Hamburg FC.
Right
I don't
on.
know anything about. I don't know anything about the team, but I've got a lot of their merch because we love Hamburg.
Okay, right on.
So I'm assuming Hamburg's
I'm
good
a
to you then.
poser. Hamburg's been good to us, that's for sure.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
We'll get into some of that, talking about your touring life and all that stuff.
Yeah.
One more on the bill. One more in the bill. Then I can.
So how was COVID for you, man? Like, I mean, you guys are touring around a lot when all this hit. You probably had a full summer schedule going on. You want to talk a bit about that? Just how it affected you guys?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we were we were actually recording our new record when this really struck, and we had a producer from Seattle down, and the day he landed was basically when, you know, there was things a brewing clearly on a global scale, but we just kind of put our heads down and got to work because, you know, we'd been working on the tunes for a year or so, and we were excited to execute them. Basically we got drums and bass done, and he had to leave. So and then I was told I had to do all the guitars in 2 days, and they were shutting the city down of Toronto, and I didn't have a producer, so it was kind of my first time, I guess, producing, because I just had an engineer with me. So we crisis tracked all the guitars for the record in 2 days, which was I would say it was one of the most fun and stressful and terrible, but ultimately amazing musical experiences that I've had so far.
No doubt. Yeah.
Being under the gun that way, but we got it done. And I remember driving home from Toronto just after we had wrapped and just being manically happy. And then we basically, the next obstacle to navigate was doing the vocals, and we basically did them from home and sent them. We just emailed them out to Seattle, and we would just talk on the phone, and I felt like I was doing vocals from jail, like some rappers do.
I have a collect call from an inmate at a San Bernardino County detention facility.
So that was an interesting process.
Exactly.
But I'm very proud of the results. It was
cool.
You know, I think when you live in rock and roll, you're automatically by default of a let's get it done type attitude, regardless of, you learn not to be too precious with things, and you learn that time is the most precious commodity. So just don't waste any time. So there was never any mind on our end to delay things, because it was even clear from that vantage point that this was going to last a while. So I'm very happy that we got the record done, and as soon as it was done, we basically flung ourselves into navigating the new landscape of promotion, which is obviously unique and unprecedented. So that end of things, I've found, I've seen a lot of, and I definitely share the despair of my colleagues that it sucks not to be playing, which is the funnest part of music, out for people. But I have found this entire year very exhilarating to some extent and energizing, because I felt that it was just a new set of challenges to navigate. I mean, I play in a really noisy rock and roll band that we've been used to clawing our way tooth and nail up the hill. So this was just another chapter of that. This wasn't it's not like we were a band making millions of dollars and just used to lying in the clover. We're used to fighting. So this is just a new, even more kind of interesting set of circumstances to navigate. So
adapt,
we basically,
and survive.
Exactly. That's what you have to do, right? So as I said, I've been very fortunate this year in that we have a really strong team, and we're all very passionate about what we do. So in terms of energy, we all had a lot of energy into to put into whatever direction we wanted to go in. But I just didn't quite, the depression and the futility of this year have been momentary feelings for me. In general, I just wake up and I have probably 10 phone calls I have to make in a day, and I got to start. I'm working on new songs with the guys. And we're making lots of video content, and also just doing lots of brainstorming and throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. So we just did we did a live stream tour where we hooked up with our favorite venues in the United States and said, here's the deal. We will use a green screen, pro audio, bunch of cameras, shoot a show where we say we're in your venue. You send us photos of your venue. So we make it kind of look like we're in your venue, but more of like in a funny way.
Yeah.
And we'll split the money so that you guys can have something to help keep you afloat. And we're giving our fans something where we're, a lot of bands right now are just doing one live stream and it's kind of general for all their fans, but we try to do tailored live streams to each city and each venue, so that we said, good people of Houston, Texas, we know you like this one. Last time we were here, we did this one. You guys seem to like it. So, so we I think that we're definitely a zany, and dare I say, we lead our field in a lot of ways in terms of just bizarre ideas and hustle. Also, I think a lot of our peers have been a lot more paralyzed by the circumstances that we have. And as I said, overall, to wrap up my rambling response, I would just say that this year has felt particularly energizing for me because I've spent most of my 20s in a van. And so, I think anybody who spends most of their life in a van, you have a love-hate relationship with it.
Exactly.
But I have definitely relished in the opportunities that being home for an extended period of time have afforded me. And mostly that's creative goals and working on new music. Usually we'll make an album. I'll drive myself completely nuts for a year, bashing away on these tunes. We'll record them we'll demo them a bunch of times. We'll tour and then test them on the road, and then we'll record them. And then I'll say, phew, okay, well now I don't have to work for like a year. I just get to tour them. and then I'll have to play catch up and have all this like, oh my God, we got nothing. But this time I was like, well, what are we going to do? We're going to get right back to working on new tunes.
I've got my job, I've got my goal, I've got the guaranteed destruction of this world. I gotta drink about, dream about, and run away from. Gonna smash my TV, smash my phone, leave politics alone, go outside for a while. One more in the bill, 'cause I can hear my problems still.
But maybe you could talk a little bit about your timeline, go back as far as you want, just, your inspirations and where you came about as a musician.
Well, I guess that my first real musical memory is probably listening to Stompin' Tom Connors in our family's
Come on.
Ford Escort or whatever my dad was driving at the time, and my dad's singing along with this distorted old tape, and my mom plugging her ears, really pissed off and not enjoying that.
Where'd you
and then
grow
my
up,
mom putting in
Luke?
in Dundas.
In Dundas. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the Shire.
The
Shire.
Shire. That's
Of
exactly right.
Dundas.
Yeah, I like that place.
Yeah,
I never called it that. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
yeah. So my dad listened to a lot of Stompin' Tom, and I really remember him listening to Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen, and a lot of Live at Folsom Prison was another one that I really remember, and Merle Haggard, and
Oh, cool.
a lot of John Prine, Sweet Revenge, and all that stuff. So, and then my mom would listen to Women in Songs and all that shit. So, there was a musical war between my parents, but I would describe my band as kind of a mixture of Stompin' Tom Connors and Women in Songs.
Whitney Houston.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
yeah, I remember that's kind of what I remember listening to as a kid. But when I had one of my first real lightning bolt moments with music was when I think I was in grade 6, and it was 2002, and we watched Much Music in the morning before I went to school, and a Nirvana video came on, and my parents like plugged their ears because the sound of the distortion of the guitars and the vocals was so intense. I'd never seen anything like it, and seeing their discomfort really made an impression on me that this was something that I wanted to become interested in, if it had that kind of power.
Right.
So,
there you go.
you know, and then later that year I was given, I said I wanted to play bass because I thought that was my stepping stone to getting to play guitar. But my godfather, who grew up in Toronto in the 60s and saw the Beatles and saw the first Zeppelin show in Toronto and saw Hendrix, you know, you name it, he saw it.
Yeah.
Stones on the Exile tour, everything. He caught wind of this whole bass interest thing and said, "Oh, fuck that! Here's a Squire Stratocaster, and here's the distortion knob, and knock yourself out."
Yeah,
off you go.
That's amazing.
So that's how I got involved, basically at the beginning.
Cool.
And then we started the Dirty Nil in 2006. That was the summer that I got my first Marshall amp. It was a 100-watt amp,
Yes.
which much to the chagrin of the neighborhood. And we would just practice in my basement, just Kyle and I as a two-piece, with the express purpose that we were just going to make our own songs. Because, you know, by that point, you know, when I was in my early teens, everybody got a Squire Strat pack or a beginner's drum kit. And by the age of 16, most of that had petered out, and people were, you know, had just kind of shucked it off like a skateboard or whatever. It was just
And why do you think that is, Luke? Why do you think that is? Do you think
guitar's
that's something to do
fucking
with
hard.
Garage Band?
I think it's just because it's, well, why did we continue, or why did
At that time,
stop?
why was every kid getting a pack? Was it around the guitar band or rock band? Time?
Rock band. Guitar Hero.
It was around that, but
Around
I think that in the early 2000s, there was certainly a groundswell of classic rock renaissance. You had bands like The Darkness, and you had the Strokes, who were doing good things out of New York. You had the Hives.
Yeah.
You had a lot of throwback bands like Jet, you know, Wolf Mother, all that stuff, like real throwback style sounding stuff. And I think a real important motivator of that was the movie School of Rock as well.
Yeah.
Take
this cello, turn it over. Yellow.
Cello, you
the
got
bass.
Exactly. So there was a cultural. Yeah,
Sorry, buddy,
there was definitely a cultural revival of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Of 70s and 60s rock and roll. And I mean, that was, and also I think that part of it too, that really fueled it was, you know, the advent of YouTube. And I can say that for me personally, and for me and for Kyle and I and other people of our generation, that was a very important factor in being indoctrinated into rock and roll, because we absorbed it through video rather than, you know, LPs. Like I didn't have any records. I would just watch videos of The Who and the MC5 playing on YouTube, and that's how I got indoctrinated. And the imagery of the stacks and the smashing and the, you know, I was hooked.
Yeah, man.
That's very cool, dude. And then you guys stayed with the Dirty Nil together. Did that? And then you must have got your third member in. How was that?
Yeah. So we went through a few different bass players who were clearly not as serious as us for about the first year or so. And it was a weird thing. I mean, when Kyle and I started the band, we literally signed a blood contract. Like, we pricked our fingers and signed a contract.
Awesome.
And said that this was it. Yeah. And here we are still. Anyways, our bass players kind of kept flaking out. It wasn't really working, and Kyle and I are just basically like brothers. So it was, it just didn't feel right, and so we decided to not replace our human bass player with an octave pedal. So we were a two-piece for about a year or so, and fully explored that. And
cool.
I can just say that it's given me a bit of a resentment and a bad taste in my mouth about all two pieces. And I'm not saying that I'm right. It's just my own personal feelings. I have very little patience for two-piece bands, just having been in one. I think it's because it brings back like a PTSD Vietnam memories of my pedals not working.
Right.
So I can't stand watching. And the technology's gotten much better, and I definitely have seen good two-piece bands. But there's certain limitations that are obvious when you're a two-piece band.
Absolutely.
If you just get a bass player, it will be fucking better.
Sure.
Than whatever you're doing.
Did you guys ever running tracks or anything like that, or building, stuff, bringing stuff from the studio in?
No, I mean we've been pretty analog our whole career, somewhat by aesthetic choice and somewhat by a complete mistrust of technology. It's I think we're in love with doing things the hard way forever, and doing it our way, even if it's a mistake. There's a modern to that effect. There's a modern trend of a lot of rock bands. They'll kind of have a principal songwriter that comes up with an idea, and everybody shows up at the studio, and a producer holds their hand and layers tracks and loops verses, and then they say, all right, there's a song, whatever.
Exactly.
And we're just completely opposed to doing anything like that. We do it the old-fashioned way. And we'll never stop, which is working on songs in a concrete shoebox and arguing with each other for a year, fighting and demoing until the songs sound good in that shit box of a room with a blown out PA. And then we go into a recording studio. Then we get a producer involved to help us kind of execute it and really kind of bring it that last 10%. We're not, I would rather do things that way and exert majority of my positive and negative emotions on that method than have more success, but having somebody do it for us, if that makes sense.
Man.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And you can hear it in the recordings that it doesn't sound like cut and paste writing. Oh, we've written an intro that we're going to do the re-intro. Here's a verse. The music's just cut and pasted and put over and dropped it in Pro Tools. You could hear that you guys. Well,
thank you.
Yeah, you could hear it. You're playing it because there's changes that happen because you're not locked into one thing. You're not you're actually playing live, playing the stuff, and you can. There's a maturity to it, even though it can be it's fun and it's rocks your ass off, but there's a maturity in it that you guys know what you're doing. You can play through 4 minutes of music. It's the struggle sometimes, and you've taught before too as well. Like just trying, someone can learn a lick. Yeah, that's great. Well, play the whole thing for 4 minutes now.
Yeah,
rock out. It's easy. You can see a lot of bands. They do these shows and they do a 20-minute showcase, and they're exhausted. Singer can't sing anymore after 20 minutes because they don't know how to do it. You guys put on killer live shows, and that gets reflected in the studio. Doesn't get lost.
Well, thank you.
And that happens sometimes where it gets lost in the studio too.
I think it's the teaching thing lets you put music through your magnifying glass, and that's what you need in the studio. You need to look at each individual thing, each piece as it's going down the track. And I think that when people aren't used to looking at music that way, and they come into the studio, they get overwhelmed. And they're like, whoa, it's going by too quick to be precise and have precision, And I've been in the studio on both sides of the fence, where I've been with my band where we've taken more time, and then I've been the session guy where it's like, right now, you got to come up with these parts right now, and you literally have 2 takes. Third one might be a punch in. That's it, So it's a whole different mindset for sure. And the teaching helped me anyway. Teaching for 25 years, I could look at music part by part that way.
Yeah, I think that when you teach things too, that you're learning at the same time while you're teaching,
Yeah.
because you're focused to you're forced to really understand the things that you know,
Yeah, man.
to break them down.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with a successful Canadian rock band that shall remain nameless for the purposes of this conversation. Just a few months ago, and they were highly complimentary towards our music, and they were asking like, how did you guys do that? And which, and I just explained what I said. We work on, we bash away on it for a year, and while we're on tour, we road test and keep working on it, and demo it, and keep kind of banging the metal and hammering it until it's done. And he said, that's the way that we used to do it, but all the bands, they usually just they just run out of that kind of steam, and they start to kind of just take a path of less resistance. I won't say the path of least resistance, but
sure.
You stop wanting to put in that painful fucking tedious work where you feel like, where you have those days where you all collectively feel like we fucking suck and I hate this. And, but I think that is essential to the, to the process. I don't know. I'm not trying to, I think that pain and frustration is essential to making something that you're really proud of. And even just for the purpose of, in life, I think as a musician, if you do it full time, or a lot of your time, you're fortunate enough to get to choose the thing that's going to drive you crazy. So you shouldn't steer away from letting it drive you crazy. I've always been suspicious of things that are less work. If that makes sense.
That's dude, absolutely. In every aspect of life.
Yeah, and sometimes
if you're gonna do it well.
And we've always had that where you've had your band you've liked, and then 3 albums, and you're like, what is it that I don't like about what they're doing now? Are they starting to not have that same passion, not going through the same routine, or the same process that got them to what you used to like about them? Now they're just, I could just plug into a Kempler and get all the sounds I want, as opposed to hauling in my Marshall stacks and stuff like that.
And I think that when you all, like, as a band, work on things together, then you can really craft the moments of the arrangement of the song, and you can really hear it from different angles, and come up with something that is I don't know. It's just you come up with more exciting arrangements, I think, than when you, as I said, go in without with kind of a loose idea, and people show up and maybe I'll do this over that, and then they leave. And there's nothing. I'm not trying to knock that. It's just, and some bands have had great success doing stuff like that, but it's just not for me. I'd rather go nuts and reap all the feeling of personal and group triumph of going through the organic, all the great bands in history did that. Yeah. And then some of them got to a point where they were too lazy to do that, and the records indicated that.
Yeah.
I think it's a question of not getting lazy, and not turning away from the struggle. To me, that's how I feel about it.
Awesome.
Some of those bands that have had 10-year careers, it seems like, at the end of it, they'd rather be doing something else. So they're just coming in to fulfill their obligation almost, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to do that. That's sort of defeats the whole reason you get in, is to annoy your parents. Like you said, at some level, it's to annoy somebody, right? I just want to play loud stuff, get the girl, whatever it is. You just want to do it, So when it becomes too much of a job, and trust, we've been there at our point in life, in career, and up until COVID, we got to sort of pick and choose a little bit more of what we wanted to do music wise and enjoy it a bit more. But kudos to you for doing that, man.
Listen, you guys got to be doing something right, man. You guys have a JUNO, right?
We do, I guess so. Yeah,
dude. Congratulations on that. That's super cool. Thanks. When did that happen? Can you talk a little bit about that, brother? That's awesome.
True,
Where is
yeah.
that bad boy? Let's go. You can show it.
My mom confiscated it. She said, I'm keeping this until you pay me back for all those guitar lessons.
Yeah, she owns it, dude, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, we won Breakthrough Artist of the Year in 2017, and
yes,
we're up against a bunch of more more polished sounding. I'll never forget. Even going there felt like they had made a grave mistake, and that they had basically emptied, like let the baboons into the gala. But
amazing, dude.
I remember when during the show they were playing that when our category came up, and they were showing all the bands the samples of their music, and there's it's all this very kind of prim and proper, very slick sounding stuff. And then when our picture came up, this squelch of feedback came up, and just this crashing and much thinner, more aggressive, abrasive recording. And you could see people kind of like duck, like a chandelier had smashed or something when our music came on. And
fantastic.
so anyways, somehow we pulled that one out of our ass, and then we walked up and we collected the thing. I think that it's just still too tempting, even as a I guess technically as an adult, to let a moment like that pass without some mischief. And so at the end of our acceptance speech, I said "weed rules" into the microphone, and this was before it was actually legal. So
you rebel.
Graham Rockingham, our local rock journalist, wrote about that the next day as the headline. And I woke up with a pretty good headache the next morning.
Yeah, I bet you did, man.
After a lovely night of glory, where we were for some reason drinking with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
And he was explaining to us why you should never fall in love with women from Eastern Europe for some reason. And anyways, we woke up with these terrible headaches, and my mom was so proud of me the night before. My parents were there. It was great. And I'll never forget waking up and turning over and looking at my phone and seeing just like, the preview of a text on your phone. And it's a paragraph. And the first sentence was, "You represent the hopes and dreams of," and I'm like, oh fuck, like I guess that headline must have gone up. And anyways, then the next day I was wearing my same shirt. I had this custom made shirt that had an MC5 white panther, and it had a pot leaf on the other side. It's covered in stars. And
nice.
I was talking to the surviving members of the Tragically Hip about the Rolling Stones, and Justin Trudeau came into the conversation, and
like literally, like literally came into the conversation.
He literally walked into the conversation, and I put my arm around him, and I got Rob Baker to take a photo of us, and we posted that. And he didn't want to because he could see the pot leaf on my shirt, but we did it. I kind of forced him into there was some Secret Service agents that were looking at me because I kind of grabbed them. But anyways, this line of work has taught me to never squander a moment, even if you have to pay the consequences after.
No doubt,
man.
Good for you, brother.
We already talked about this shirt last night, but for anyone that wasn't watching, can you describe the origin of this beautiful piece of clothing?
Well, I was looking for a specific garment to capture the things that I love in life. So here you have it all: the MC5, unexplained leaf, and a lightning bolt and a symbol for a power cord. So hail, hail, rock and roll, kids.
You got it all. Now, you guys won for Breakthrough Group of the Year last night. How did you guys celebrate after it was all said and done?
We went out to Gatineau, to the Arkells party. Luke did a song with the boys.
Nice. What'd you do?
My girl.
Hell yes.
Yeah, it was fun.
Sounds like it's over, but you didn't. You stayed off stage. You didn't.
I was drinking.
You were just like focused on imbibing the entire time.
Yeah, just like keeping the good times rolling,
So now that the pressure's sort of off for you guys, how do you plan to enjoy like tonight's JUNO festivities?
Just with a lot of beers.
Sounds great. Guys, enjoy a lot of beers. Thanks again for telling us about the shirt. I love this shirt so much. Cheers, guys, and congrats again on the win last night.
What are your hobbies outside of
Hit me.
music? You know, when you talked about that you had
Well,
an inspiring year with the COVID, I thought that was really awesome because we usually hear the opposite of that. And there's lots of things that we can do to keep our mind, our mental health going. You know, what's your hobbies, man? What do you do?
Indeed. Well, I love podcasts. That's for one. That's for
Yeah, me
sure.
too.
I love history. I love history a lot, so I read a lot about
Specifically,
history.
what kind of history?
20th century conflicts, Roman Empire.
Cool.
You know, a lot of Civil War.
Yeah, man.
All over the place.
You know, lots
History.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Anytime people were having a really, really miserable time in the past, I'm pretty interested in reading about it. That's I love I'm definitely into a big supporter of exercise, so I do a lot of running. And what else do I do? I like painting. I just started painting, watercolor painting.
Nice.
My parents have a dog, so I like to walk the dog and rile him up, wrestle with him. That's mostly what I do.
Do you think that you
watch a lot of movies?
Did you bring up or did you pick up the painting thing because of COVID, you think?
No, I actually started it at the beginning of this year before COVID, and I was taking community center painting classes with my mom and my sister, one of my sisters, and it was a super fun experience, and it actually spawned the title of our new record. There was an older gentleman at the back of the class that kept complaining the entire class that his painting didn't look like the instructors, and he was kind of annoying the whole class, and it was all kind of becoming a little bit humorous how petulant this 72-year-old dude was. I had this myth in my mind that at some point everybody gets it together, but this class shattered those illusions.
That's hilarious.
Come on.
Dude. You're funny.
And,
You know this was a comedy show.
Come on, you know me. I haven't got anything together yet.
Yeah. Well, some of us are better at pretending that.
Right.
So
Fake it till you make
so this
it.
gentleman, this gentleman was, as I said, interrupting the class at every turn, basically complaining that he was not happy with his shitty painting. And at a certain point, he just put his brush down, and everybody, all you can hear is just brush strokes, and all you could just hear from the back of the room, 72-year-old guy, fuck art. And that's actually the title of our album.
That's great.
That was a lightning bolt moment for me.
Yeah. You also mentioned, sir, about watching a bunch of stuff, like watching movies and stuff. What have you been watching? Like kind of isolation watch.
I've kind of been all over the map. I'm definitely I like true crime a lot. What else have I been watching? I really like that show, The Nick, that they did a few years ago about the Knickerbocker Hospital in 1900. Super grim show.
Cool.
Clive Owen. They did 2 seasons of it. It has a very definitive end, but I think there's like 10 episodes total. I love the UK Office a lot.
I love that.
I love most of the I love most of the Ricky Gervais universe. I watch a lot of stand-up specials. Big fan of Tim Heidecker. Right now, I guess, what was the last thing I saw? I was just rewatching Gangs of New York.
Dude, it's one of my favorite movies of all times. I've seen that thing a million and a half. Like, it's fantastic.
It's wicked.
It's so wicked.
Anything that Daniel Day-Lewis is in, I'm in.
Yeah. We just watched that on the bus.
Yeah, we watched it
it's a good one.
a couple months ago. I just love how, you see a brief history of that, kind of how New York was formed. You know what I mean? Like, it was already really going hard at that point. But just the way the Irish came in and they were, being taken off a boat and then just turned around and, you know, given a rifle and here now you're fighting for your country.
Yeah.
You know, it had a lot
Very
of really cool historical points in that movie, I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one of those movies to me that when people go, oh, I'd love to have lived at that time. I said, okay, here you go, live in New York at this time, you know. Unless you got
Yeah, go watch the show The Nick if you have any romantic ideas about the 19th century.
Comforts you to know that I'm alone. Morphine has lied for me, saying it'll be alright.
Drum roll. Isolation Records. You get 3, my friend. What would you
Yes.
the Desert Island Isolation Records? Frank, do you want to do the drum roll or was it needed?
guitar player. He'll add one in there or something like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with. Let's see. First one. I wrote down my list, but I'm seeing if I want to change it. I'm gonna have to go with "Sweet Revenge" by John Prine.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of them.
Holy
And,
shit, that's a heavy one, man. When you only get 3, that's heavy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. I'm gonna go with number 2 would be Tim by The Replacements.
Wow.
Yeah.
And number 3, I would have to go with probably Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust.
There
Very
you
cool,
go, man. Amazing. Hey, look,
So, can I ask you?
hang on, Ed. Before we go,
Oh,
before
sorry,
we go any
Frank. Go ahead.
further, he's the first guest. Your episode 19, the first guest that is stuck to 3.
Yeah, but he's got a JUNO, dude. This isn't his first rodeo. He knows when he's told to keep it under a certain amount of minutes. You keep it under a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah.
Hey,
All
man,
right.
one word from each of those records. Why that would be a desert island record for you? What makes it? What makes it that for you?
Sweet Revenge because of its ties to my childhood, and I think John Prine is probably my favorite songwriter, and that's my favorite collection of his tunes, and I love the cover. And number 2, I would say Tim because The Replacements are my favorite band of all time, and they don't have. I think that's it's not their. I don't even think it's their best record, but to me. Or their best. I don't think it's their best sounding record, but it's got. I could easily swap that out for almost any Replacements record, but today I was just really feeling Tim, and I just Paul Westerberg is kind of my hero of heroes, even though he's a dick. And then number 3, I would just have to go with Rise and Fall because. I just love every single song on that record, and I love Mick Ronson's playing, and it's David Bowie. I mean, what else do you say?
Yeah,
I thought Mick Ronson might have something to do with the that album for you.
Yes.
As soon as you brought it up, I thought Mick Ronson has a lot to do with that, you know. But it's fantastic.
Most
that's
certainly.
cool. Yeah.
Like a canine, howling in your headlights, rolling through the windshield. That's what heaven feels like.
Now this is your turn, my friend, to ask us anything you want to know about coffee. And I usually pass this all off to Frank because he's the RD department. So, you got any coffee questions?
Oh,
Don't. That's
he's
good.
gonna
That's
stump
fine
me.
too.
I Well, I very much am looking forward to drinking this coffee and hitting you back up with it. But okay, I got one question and one question only. What is the best way to make coffee, like to actually prepare it?
Well, I have an answer for this, but I'm going to let Frank go first. Go, Frank.
The best way to prepare it, the best way to prepare it is prepare it fresh. So use whole bean, have a whole bean, grind it fresh. When you're going to use it, don't grind it ahead of time. But that point starts changing. So I use a French press at home, and I love that. And it for me, it feels the most like if you had an espresso machine as far as the flavor of that. I know an AeroPress can do that, and that we haven't. I just don't have one at home. So French press is the one it takes about the same amount of time as a drip coffee, but I like the flavor of it better. It seems to capture the flavor better than drip coffee.
How do you make your coffee at home, Luke?
Right now I've got one of those I got a pour over rig.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, it's like when Frank said, how he likes it, my answer to that question was basically there is no right way or wrong way. It's like, that's what I love about this
Fair enough.
is like, there's a recommended amount of ground bean to, and how that bean is ground to water, and then the temp of that water. And there's all these little elements and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
elements
man,
to it, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if you just like old school drip machine that's already made for you when you woke up because it had an alarm setting on it, and that's what you like, then that's comes up with me. That's how I look at it anyway. I personally
Gotcha.
It's how the caffeine's delivered.
Yeah, exactly right.
Just with a lot of flavor. That's my favorite. I mean, I know there's been always the French press has sometimes had bad press because there's no filter, so you will get there's a bit more cholesterol
granules. Yeah.
No, but you get cholesterol because the oil, there's more oil in there, so there's actually a bit more cholesterol in there that they say. So, but you literally have to drink, I think, 20 French press a day to make it in any kind of way noticeable to your system. So
I'm on 8.
If you're drinking 20, so I drink a lot of coffee, not that much,
Yeah,
not going to get close to
that's a lot of coffee if you're getting lots of cholesterol from it.
But that question though is like you asking, which guitar do you want to play? Like the Les Paul, the Tele, the Strat. It's like I want to play them all. It just depends on the mood sometimes, right? So sometimes the French press is great if I had an espresso machine. So if I had the gold top 50s gold top Les Paul, once in a while you're going to want to put that one in there.
That's for damn sure.
What's next for you, sir?
Well, I'm actually after the conclusion of this, I'm off to do a little more jamming and arguing away in the concrete box as I talked about earlier, and working on the hits of tomorrow.
Nice.
And so the album releases in January, right? Fuck Art.
January 1st. It's on New Year's Eve when the clock strikes midnight. Fuck Art drops. It's for all the children.
Yeah, so where can people find it on all the regular spots? Like, where can they find that record, and where can they find you? And
all the criminal ripoff streaming platforms, Spotify, Deezer, all of those places that we hope one day will all end or come to a more favorable arrangement with the artist.
Yeah.
But we also have vinyl for sale, and we're available for authentic purchase through iTunes. And our main socials are Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, that's the best way to reach us. I'm really stoked.
Where would somebody be able to purchase the vinyl, tangible vinyl, on your website?
So we have we got a website, and it's available through purchase through our record label Dynalone Records. And we've got some pre-orders up already, and the top tier packages I think are sold out, but we are still moving everything else, and we might add some more packages at the top, but it's all through there.
Give me 1/2 dozen blood-forced concussions, crack my head in two. Just
guess one word out there to all the other artists and creatives out there. I would just say to not despair this year. I know it's a very complex and it's a different and challenging landscape, but to take the time to pour yourself into whatever you can do and focus on that rather than what we can't do.
Totally.
And I know that's easier said than done for a lot of us. And but if you ever wanted to learn how to knit or crochet or make swords, this is the year. Try something new.
That's it, brother. I love it.
Awesome, man.
Hey, listen, man. Congrats on all your success, and nothing but the best of luck for you and your boys and all that in the future, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you very much. I'll pass that along, and thank you guys for having me, and an even bigger shout out for thank you very much for the Mornin Buzz Lighthead roast. I'm very much so look forward to getting wired in the morning on this.
Awesome, Luke.
Hey.
Appreciate your time, buddy. All the best, man.
My
Cheers,
pleasure.
brother.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Take care, guys.
Stuff, man.
Is this going?
You too.
All right. We'll see you, bud.
Take care.
Take care, Luke.
All right, man. Take care. Well, that was super cool.
Yeah, man.
What a great guy, man.
He's a rock and roller, man. He's some of the video footage shows, man. He's just a rock and roll star on stage.
No, he kills.
He
He
just
kills.
kills it on
And that-
stage.
Like, I didn't want to say it to him, and I apologize, Luke, if you take offense to this, because I don't mean anything by it, but I felt like from some of the stuff I listened to, there was a bit of a Blink 182 vibe going on there, which I think is awesome. It's just like power trio, blow your face off, and it was super cool when I was listening to it. So definitely check out the Dirty Nil.
High energy band. When you can see them live,
Yeah,
fantastic.
go. Frank,
Ed,
episode 19, man.
episode 9. We're going to go to 2-0 next. What's going on? This is probably going wrong.
Let's do it the other side just in case. We'll make sure we get it.
So,
Like if
and we
we have
have
to
to
make the cups explode, I will.
very good.
Say in the bottom, F-U-C-K? Fuck art, man. Fuck art.
Wanna catch a flick, let the meter tick in the parking lot outside of theater number 6, where the woman doesn't kick like she used to anymore. Give me 1/2 dozen blunt force concussions, crack my head into. Just don't put me through saying I love you. Wanna take a walk? We don't have to talk. It's probably better that way. And it's getting pretty late. Yeah, that's what I'll say when I leave you with the check to pay. Give me 1/2 dozen blunt force concussions, crack my head into. Just don't put me through saying I love you. Trust me if I'm feeling blue. Trust me, I'm thinking about you. Give me 1/2 dozen blunt force concussions, crack my head into. Just don't put me through saying I love you. Trust me if I'm feeling blue. Trust me, I'm thinking about you.
Okay, dude.
Yeah.
Take care of
I don't
yourself.
want to digress. You take care. We'll see you next month, folks, and enjoy.
That's it. Be well.
Goodbye.
And be well to each other. Take care of yourselves.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Be well, be safe.
Oh,